Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host Dr. Amber Q. Now, what is it with awards? I have so many friends that have either been shortlisted for awards. I've got a friend who's been currently shortlisted for an award. I should say that, for being a local hero. And I've got friends that have won clinical awards. People that I know who have been shortlisted for business awards, just, in every facet. And I think it's amazing, isn't it? But then I also heard that there are problems in Tanzania. And I don't know anything about Tanzania, but I know that there's a genocide in Sudan, as well as everything that's happening in Gaza. That people are still being unalived despite the ceasefire. And I thought to myself, my gosh, there must be so many heroic acts. Here we've got, in a peaceful society, people who do things and they can enter awards and they can receive recognition. But all over the world where people are suffering and literally it's a life-death situation, people are real life heroes and heroines. And I don't know, I just think, it's like, imagine this, you live your entire life unseen. There's no fame, then there's no spotlight, no applause. And then you die in does anyone die in an ideal circumstance? I think not. But no, actually, I think so. Because obviously, if you're at home, surrounded by your loved ones, I guess that's as ideal as it gets. But the thing is that when you cross over, what if that's the time that the universe lights up with your name? What if angels are whispering it because somehow you became famous in the afterlife? Thinking about the woman in your local community who's always smiling at strangers, maybe the elderly people that feed birds in the morning in the park, or the nurses and carers who whisper prayers for their patients. Maybe those people, quiet heroes, are honoured in ways we cannot imagine. And I think that every faith has its mystery, doesn't it, about life after death. But in Islam, I think it's one of the only faiths that gives that much information about what happens to souls after they pass into the afterlife. And the thing is that Islamically, the people who go unseen here, they are often the ones that are most known in the afterlife. We live in an age of eyes. Every moment can be posted, liked, shared, monetized. People chase followers, we crave validation. But what if the real audience isn't here? What if the afterlife is the only place that truly sees you and the only place that matters? Because here on earth, fame feels like, the ultimate currency. We measure worth by numbers, salaries, clicks, and we believe that being remembered means being loved. I feel really blessed to have studied at one of the oldest dental schools. And medics and dentists studied together. I wasn't at a multi-faculty place. I was at the London Hospital, which then became the Royal London Hospital, which then became Barts and the London, which then became eventually Queen Mary's and Westfield. And now, I don't even know what it's called now. I think it's just QMW. So maybe it is the same name. But what I remember was sitting in those lecture theatres on wooden benches and seats that had been there for years. And you would look at the wooden panelling around you. And even when you were walking down the hallway, or when you were sitting in the pathology museum, which was haunted, but that's another story. And you would look even in our halls of residence. Oh my gosh. It was just so amazing because the halls of residence were like the medical college. There were this original building. We had a warden. She had a dog and a cat. The cat was always swiping the dog. And just in the library there were just all these portraits, right? Everywhere. The medical school, in the halls of residence, in the library, which was in an old church. There were portraits everywhere of the famous surgeons, people who donated to the hospital. There were all these photos. And you see those now, right, in stately homes and in other places, palaces and things. And yes, it's great because these people may have done wonderful things. They may have pioneered a particular type of surgery to save people's lives and to reduce their suffering. They may have done something great for their community, for their village, for their estate, and for everyone, that was working on the estate. I'm thinking Downton Abbey here. But, so of course, these people may have done amazing things. But of course, there's so many other people who aren't in that position, right? I mean, it's great if you have power and influence and you use it in the best possible way, i.e. helping others. But what about those people whose goodness is invisible? They're just going about their ordinary lives, doing wonderful things. And the Holy Quran says that those who give in secret and in public by night and day, well, their reward, it says that basically they'll have nothing to fear, nor will they grieve. And so maybe real influence, in today's world, we think it's all about reach and followers and things. But Islamically, it's all about intention. But I think we tend to resist that truth. We all want to be known now. We want that applause. And we kind of fear the idea, I guess, that our greatest impact might never be seen by human eyes. We want to post everything, don't we? Because we feel that, hey, our beautiful acts, our beautiful work may just be invisible. And so we post, we cooked something, we've gone somewhere, so we perform and then we compare. And in the noise, I think we do forget what real meaning sounds like. And I think this is the problem. This is why in society, so many people feel unseen, right? The research shows that people just speak and, they kind of speak at each other and we don't actually listen to what the other is saying. So people are speaking almost for performance and other people are listening just so that they can sort of speak about themselves. So everyone's just speaking and looking at each other instead of looking through. And, I don't know. I mean, imagine if every time you forgave someone who didn't deserve it, that a light flickered in another realm. Every time you comforted a stranger, a ripple of warmth spread through space and time itself. What if your smallest act of grace was recorded in light and not in ink? Islam teaches us that even the smallest act done with sincerity is seen perfectly, completely. Not a leaf falls except that He, i.e. God, knows it. I think it's so beautiful because I think that in a sense, the afterlife it's almost a memory because it is a log essentially of everything good that you've ever done and bad, but we won't talk about that at the moment. So the thing is that the paradox, I feel, is that on earth, fame is really loud. And I must apologise here because there have been a lot of people that have messaged me wanting to be guests on the podcast. And that's so flattering and that's so lovely. I'm not doing guests right now. And to be honest, all the guests that I had on previously in the earlier days of the podcast, they were all friends of mine. And so for everyone who's written into me, I will at some point be in touch if I do have guests. But the thing is that, and I don't know why I'm mentioning that now, but it just kind of fits in because I'm not this big sort of famous sort of podcaster. And it's funny, isn't it? Because in life, fame is really loud, but I think in eternity, fame is silent. And it's so weird, isn't it? Because Vincent van Gogh, we celebrate him now, but he died believing he was a failure. And I know there's skeptics out there There are people that say, what if none of this is true? What if we just die and there's nothing? I still cannot believe that people think that, because I know those people worry that, oh, what if all of our kindness, all of our sort of invisible labor goes unnoticed forever? And that, I think, is the fear for a lot of people. What if, we give everything, we're never seen? But that is what faith is, right? It's belief in the unseen, to know that God, even though we don't see him, we know that he is watching. And I think so many people now, everyone's on this whole spirituality bandwagon. Oh, I'm spiritual. I can feel that the universe is going to do this, and that. And I'm sorry, but it's God. The universe is another way of saying there is a creator, and it is God. And I think the interesting thing is that Islamically it's said that you don't know who God's friends are, right? So in a sense, God's favorite souls are sort of, they're hidden, right? Good people we don't know, again, because belief is, faith is belief in the unseen. So the quiet ones, the givers, the forgivers, the people who've loved humanity without needing an audience, they, those sort of people, the ones who do good are probably, and I don't know, God forgive me, I don't know what God is thinking, but, there's a reason that we don't know who the favorite souls are and who God's friends are. But it's interesting, right? Because the thing is that every kind act, and every skeptic is going to attest to this, every kind act creates energy, right? And we know that energy never dies. It travels, it expands, it echoes, and ultimately, I think it becomes light. And I mean, the thing is, as humans, it is hard. I'm not saying it's easy, because we are wired to want recognition, to have proof that what we do matters. But of course, at the end of the day, I mean, certainly Islamically, it's not about your appearance or your wealth, but it's about your heart, your intention, and your deeds. And so even if you don't get to do the deed, to do a good deed, but if you intended to do that, that's counted as a good act. And maybe that's the thing. Maybe the truest fame is internal. The peace, that inner peace of knowing you did good when no one was watching. It's really fulfilling. And I just think that, that's just so wonderful. And Islamically, there's almost kind of like a hidden rank of the unknown believer, someone whose name is kind of, never leaves their hometown, but whose compassion literally kind of, is known in the heavens. And I love that. I really love that. I mean, think about it. Being loved, not for talent, for wealth, but for humility. And I think that it gives us a strange freedom, right? Because you just do good. You don't need credit for it. You don't need people to know. You just trust that every whisper of kindness is heard by something much bigger than applause. And maybe on the earth, fame is noise. It is, sort of applause and credit and awards. And in the afterlife, it is light. The Holy Quran does say that whoever does an atom's weight of goodness will see it. My gosh, I mean, even if you don't believe in scripture, doesn't that feel like universal justice, where every small act counts? Think about all the people that are suffering all over the world. Even if you're not in Sudan, in Gaza, if you are suffering here, wherever you are, in Canada, in the USA, in the UK, in Australia, in New Zealand, I don't know, the developed world, whatever you want to call it, isn't it satisfying, gratifying, fulfilling to know that every small act counts? Nothing disappears. Like nothing. It's just, just that knowledge to know that in the afterlife, every unnoticed kindness finally shines, And again, I know the skeptics are going to be like, oh my God, what if nobody sees them? But I don't know. We all know that when you do something with love, something changes in you, around you. It's just, the unseen matters. And again, I'll say it, everyone's talking about spirituality because people are recognizing that. And the thing is that, as I said, of course, I believe that it's God. And the thing is that, it's your intention. And in Islam, we call that niyyah. But the intention is, your intention is that invisible force that turns your ordinary actions into sacred actions. And isn't that beautiful? Come on, it's so beautiful because you know that you've done good things in your life, or you did things intending that it would be this really amazing act. Somebody either misinterpreted it or you didn't get a chance to do it and you feel disappointed. Don't worry. You'll see it in the afterlife. And depending, I guess, on the intention, right? So I don't know. It's just wonderful, right? It's just wonderful. Just think about it. It is just, I don't know, just so beautiful. It's like a different kind of award ceremony, right? There are no lights, there are no trophies. There's just, or no stage lights, I should say, because there's going to be a different kind of light, peace and presence, I think that it's like the Islamic version of fame. It's not followers, but divine acknowledgement. It's not trending, it's transcending. And that's it. Maybe heaven isn't that far away. Maybe it begins the moment you do good quietly. So if you ever feel invisible, remember that your goodness is going to leave footprints in eternity. And I think this, you don't have to believe in Islam. You don't have to be a Muslim to understand the beauty of being seen for who you really are. Not the image, but the intention, And I don't know. The thing is, to be famous in the afterlife, you only have to be human. You live beautifully, love deeply, leave quietly, and God will do the rest. I think at the end of the day, the fact is that we were born really to do good. And we just get distracted or mixed up along the way. And obviously, I'm a Muslim. I love Islam. I think it's the truth. And I will always look at things from my own Islamic perspective. But I do believe that fame, it's like Muslims, we always build for the afterlife. Well, that's our aim, to build for the afterlife, not to build for transient fame here. And literally you see the effects of it as soon as you pass. I don't know. I just think it's beautiful, and I just wanted to discuss that today. Until the next episode, let's all create connection and not just change lives, but save lives, including your own in eternity.